What things that think you disqualifies you from being an adult? What things that you disqualify you from being a mentor? What things disqualify you for figuring out that by this time in your life you should have these things already happening? I want you to come together to support the young men in your community, because if we don't, there'll be plenty of people for $39.95 who will sell them a plan on masculinity and being a good man. And oftentimes those things are full of harm. Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome to Unmasking Male Educators. Today, I'm just going to be talking to you about a couple of things that I think are really important, that we as folks who care about education, we care about young men in education, we care about increasing how many male educators we have in education. We care about how young people today, all of them, are going to access education in the future. So I'm inviting you to just buckle into this conversation. And I want to just talk about maybe two or three topics. The first is this past weekend, I was at a retreat in outside of Santa Fe, New Mexico, at a place called Synergia Ranch. Synergia Ranch was created by the same organization that created the Biodome in Arizona in the 70s, 80s. I don't know the years, but it was this group of people who came together and they were like, we want to create an intentional community inside of a big dome, and we're going to just be self-sustained. We're going to be sustaining ourselves in this dome. And it was a big experiment. Maybe you read about it or heard about it. I'm not here to talk much about that because I don't have all the history, but it was an experiment that didn't necessarily go the way they planned. I think some of the farming and planting and water treatment situations didn't go like they were thinking. And some things happened. I don't have all the facts around that. But what I'm clear about is they have created a new intentional community, and it's been beautiful. It was a beautiful space, beautiful buildings made out of I think you call it, I don't even know what you call it. I see the name in my mind. It's like Adobe buildings, Adobe buildings. But it was such an incredible space for learning. And at this youth, Restoring Lifeways retreat, we talked about how, as an organization, how we're going to continue moving the work into the future. But there was something I heard that I want to reflect on. I mean, not only that the space is expansive and beautiful, you look out and you see just trees and cacti and mountains in the distance, just from miles and miles to the eye can see. It was such a beautiful scene. I'll share a couple of those images with you for those who can watch this. But I want to tell you something that I heard on the first night when we did our check-ins. One of our colleagues who checked in from Canada, he wasn't able to make it down here, didn't feel necessarily some comfort in making it here to the event. He said something that has been sticking with me, and I've been really trying to get the right words of how to describe how it landed with me. But I'm paraphrasing and putting it in my own way. This is what he said. He said, the people who are out here doing harm, the people that we are constantly seeing on the news spreading hate, the people who are willing to go along just to get along, the people who are being bullied as adults, whether they're in Senate, Congress, whether they're in businesses, those people who are doing harm by not trying to do anything good don't have a problem coming together around the evil that they're doing. They don't have a problem coming together, even across some of their minor differences. Like, if you hear them getting talked on radio or maybe getting interviewed sometime, you will hear somebody say, well, what about this? And what about that? And they're okay with those things that they may not agree on. They're okay with the fact that me, as a person who wants to take healthcare from the poor, and that person who wants to take healthcare from the poor, and even though we don't agree on these files, or even though we don't agree on the tariffs, we're okay because we're going to come together around the things we do want to harm people about. And he said that the people who are doing harm in the world don't have a problem coming together across their differences, but those of us who are trying to make it life better for others, those of us who want to come together to make the world better, we sometimes seem to have a hard time coming together across differences. So if one person agrees with something that we don't agree with, even though our big mission is we want education to be free and fair for all, we want healthcare to be free or accessible for all. We want people to have good quality education. Like the things that we can agree on, we sometimes then say, well, that person believes that about that. I don't want to deal with that person. And if we don't come together, the people in the world who want to do good in the world, and we can't come together around our own differences, we will always lose the messaging battle. We will always fail at trying to figure out how in the world are we going to make this world better when everybody we disagree with, we've just decided to write them off because we disagree with them about this thing or about that thing. And I'm always intrigued when I'm watching shows on either YouTube or somewhere else where I hear someone being interviewed, someone from the the MAGA group being interviewed about why they support this regime, why they support the behavior that is happening. And you find that when they're being interviewed and they get asked a really directed question about something, they're clear about, oh, well, I don't really agree with that part, but I agree about this. And so many of them have come together not to agree with this new system that we're in because they agree with everything. They just pick the one thing they agree with and they're okay with all the stuff they don't agree with. It is one of the really interesting things that we saw with the rise of the Andrew Tate-like people in the world. Now, his ability to have sound bites that grab young people's attention, that if you clip it right, I think if you hear any of the streamers now, clip that chat, clip that. Like when you clip it right, you're going to clip some magic. You're going to clip a sentence that says, work out, get stronger, pay your own bills, clean your broom, take a shower, be strong physically. Like when you clip those things together, they sound like amazing qualities that someone would aspire to, and a lot of young men would aspire to. But if you listen to the entire message, you would say, but wait, he's talking about taking advantage of women. He's taking advantage of people who are paying him money every month because he knows that he can make money off of them. Oh, he's talking about the fact that he believes that a woman should not have any power, that he should have all the power. Like when you put it all together, there are so many things that have been said by these people that are harmful. But the way the world is working right now is people are getting addicted to sound bites. They're getting addicted to reels and shorts and 30 seconds, 60 seconds at a time of amazing words that then doesn't hold context for the words that were before it and after it in the same even speech. And that's what our young people are doing today too. They're getting bought into these messages and these sound bites that says, suck it up, man up, here's what you do. Get some muscles and you're going to be fine. But in the long form video, he tells you, well, you also need to pay me $39.95 so you can be a part of this community, because if you're not a part of this community, then you're nothing. And the only way you're going to be a level up, the only way you're going to become an alpha male, because everyone wants to be an alpha male, then what does that mean? That's a whole nother conversation. We recognize that the messages that they're getting over and over through the sound bites are not connected to the real values of these people who they're following. I mean, I've seen young people on social media. I've watched them interact. I'm really curious. Like if I'm on the BART train or metro, if I'm whatever city or state I'm in, I'm on public transportation and I watch how they interact. And you can just see how quickly their thumbs are like moving. It's like boom, boom, boom. And it's like, you almost are like, it's amazing. Like, how are they even seeing anything? Well, you only get a couple of seconds to grab their attention. Like you're scrolling. Oh, I heard a word that kicked in right there. And then they stop and they come back down and then they're looking. And then maybe 12, 13 seconds later, they're going to the next thing. Boom, boom, boom. They're clear that they're not sitting there watching podcasts. They're not sitting there watching long form content. They're not getting the full picture of what these people's values are. And that is what we keep seeing in the world. And so what I'm hoping, as we thinking about coming together, as I'm speaking about what does it mean for us to come together, we have some work to do. This next part, I want to talk about our Young Men's Conference. You may have heard me mention it several times, and I can give you some updates on where we are with the conference. The conference goal is to reach 200 young men in the Bay Area. We were looking for about 50 mentors because we wanted every 4 young men to have a mentor. We don't have those numbers yet, but we're gonna we'll get the numbers we have, and it's 1-day mentoring, so it looks a little different. We also invited global partners around the world. So you see me with my device here. I want to get some numbers so I can tell you where we are in the conference. So this is as of yesterday. This is yesterday, or this is yesterday. As of yesterday, so we have 142 young men registered. We have 18 volunteers signed up. We have 11 mentors. We have 3 parent groups that are going to be bringing some other young men with them. And if I think about global partners, our global partners, I think we have 30 of them. And those are people who from around the country who said, I am going to host an event in my own community. One of the events has already happened. That was in South Africa with Lebohang. They had an amazing event. The young men were playing soccer, rugby, dancing. They made masks. And so one event has already happened. Our event is November 8th here in Oakland, California. And there'll be other events happening throughout the month of November. And we're going to be highlighting those on our social channels. So, but one of the things that I've been seeing and noticing and experiencing this year, probably even more than last year, is there been a lot of questions from people who are thinking about being mentors, like, what does a mentor have to do? Which is a very important question, right? Because maybe you've heard of mentoring and you thought mentoring is like, I have to be with this kid for the rest of their life. Or maybe you've heard me talk about mentoring and you realize I've mentored young people from the time they were 15 and now they're in their 30s. So I've been mentoring some young men or being a presence in their life for 15 plus years. And many people are not yet comfortable with that type of mentoring. So, but what I also heard some of the men ask is like, what do I have to do? How do I make sure I don't get it wrong? Do I have the ability to be able to mentor a young person? And here's what I want to say to all men out there or people who can share this with men in your lives. We need good men to be mentors in the life of young men more than ever. Because with the absence of men who have gone through and survived their teenage years, maybe you've had some setbacks. I think that's really important. Maybe you had some things that you're not proud of. I think that's important. Maybe you've had some tough days. Maybe right now, at your age you're at right now, as a full adult with responsibilities and maybe children or maybe dependents or whatever you're responsible for, maybe you could say, I'm not where I want to be. And that's okay too. You see, when we put together this flyer for the conference, Young Men's Conference, normalizing vulnerability is a theme. Normalizing vulnerability. We put this together to really help people realize that all we can do together is help young men realize that they are fully human, that they fully feel, that they have a wide range of emotions, that we have to give them tools of how to navigate. Because if we don't give them tools how to navigate them, they will create fate in their life. By not addressing the sadness, like that sadness will wait around for somewhere. It will go inside. Maybe they're not dealing with fear. They're not dealing with like all the things, the things that you don't address have a way of sometimes creeping out in the places we least expect them. And so the invitation for mentors was to say, hey, this is a 6-hour mentoring experience. All we're asking you to do is just be there for those young men for the hours they're there for the conference. And your experience ends at the end of that. But for the sake of what we were inviting people to do live conference here is to say, if you have survived your teenage years, whether you survived it thriving, whether you survived it shucking and jiving, maybe you were hustling, whatever the way that you survived your teenage years, you have made it to adulthood in a way that now you get to look back and say, oh man, either I'm not sure how I got through that, or you're like, oh, let me tell you the bumps and bruises that came along the way. Maybe I can show you some scars that was like, oh yeah, that one right there, that scar right there. Let me tell you what I was doing when that happened. And it's not to brag on the tough stuff. It's to say we have survived it. We have made it to adulthood, to maturity, and now we can help another person come through it. As I described in the beginning, those that are out here doing harm are okay coming together across their differences. And they're doing more and more harm because they're coalescing. They're coming together around, we're going to harm others. I'm not even laughing. But I'm going to ask you that what we need more than ever, and right now, the invitation for you is to be a part of this journey of coming together across all the things you've been through in your life, across all the good days. And maybe if you were numbering them, you may say there's more bad days. Or maybe there's days you just don't know because you didn't mark them because they didn't have a core memory locked into those days. I'm inviting you to be a part of helping young men realize they're not alone. Come together, no matter what things that you've done, what things that think you disqualifies you from being an adult, what things that you disqualify you for being a mentor, what things disqualify you for figuring out that by this time in your life you should have these things already happening. I want you to come together to support the young men in your community, because if we don't, there'll be plenty of people for $39.95 who will sell them a plan on masculinity and being a good man. And oftentimes those things are full of harm. So today, the invitation is that you come together around this journey of helping young men in your community. If you still feel like, if you're ready, if you say, I never heard about this, I want to do it today, you can just go to our website, everforwardclub.org. You can sign up to be a partner today. There's resources available. There's a toolkit. I think we may have one last meeting for partners, but you have it already available to you. And we're going to be visioning that what we're going to do over the next year is build a larger coalition. Those 30 partners are going to move up to at least 100 partners around the world. We're inviting you to take opportunity today to serve young men in your community one mask at a time, one conversation at a time, one meal, one pickup game of basketball, soccer, football, frisbee, golf, pickleball, whatever the way you come together. And I named all sports there. Maybe you just want to go read at a library. Those are amazing things too. I'm inviting you to get involved in some way that is going to help your community be better tomorrow than it was today. You see, when there were tribes and people came together with young men in their tribes to take them through rites of passage, these rites of passage were created over years, but they were systems of elders coming back, taking the young boys who have now come into that age where they're ready. It wasn't like you're 12 and now you're becoming a man. No, it's like some 12-year-olds act more like 7-year-olds, and some 12-year-olds act more like 18-year-olds. It all depends on the person and individual. So everyone will be ready at the time they're ready. But when the elders came back for the boys, they had to take them away from their mothers. They had to say, you no longer will be residing, hanging in out with the women over here. We're going to take you, because we're going to take you through a journey. And you can do a lot of research on rites of passage that has happened in many different cultures. Some of them you would make judgment about. We definitely make judgment about things we don't understand. But what we're doing, what we've seen in those judgments of what people have done, is some of them were painful. Some of them were, you go out, you stay for several days. If you make it back alive, you have now become a man. Some of them require them to go out and find an animal. There's so many different rituals that have happened out in the world. Some of them require painful ordeals. See, today in the Western world, we don't really have a rites of passage for young men. Now, some young men are a part of rites of passage. Like I've been invited to help create for a young boy a rites of passage experience. He has some elders and some family members and family friends who are hosting him through some pieces. And that's a beautiful process is coming together. It's going to culminate in next May. They're going to take him out and do these things on these pillars that the family has decided. These are things that we want our son to experience. These are the type of areas of growth we want him to have. And that is a beautiful process. I am excited to be a part of that, because I think that all the work I've done, not only through Young Men's Ultimate Weekend, which is a modern day rites of passage weekend that happens in the summer, the work that I've done with Boys to Men, the work I've done with when there was the Sacred Sons had their youth program. There's lots of programs out there that we have helped and to help young men go through a journey. Whenever Forward first started, I didn't know about rites of passage. As I began to learn about rites of passage, I realized, oh, what we are is a multi-year rites of passage program. Young men go through these milestones each year. They get to level up. They get to take on leadership. And the opportunity this year, as we're building out the brotherhood, is to continue doing that work. So no matter where you're listening to this from, whether you're able to have a young man come or you're able to come and volunteer here in the Bay Area, this is a bit bigger than that. It maybe you're already one of our global partners who are partnering with us for somewhere around November 8th. Maybe you haven't yet decided that you could do something. Even if you say, you know what, I can get 3 of my students, 3 of my colleagues, I can get my own son, my nephew, and his friend come together, and we're going to have some fun, some food, and we're going to have some conversation about brotherhood, about the mask. You have it what it takes. So important that we do what we can while we're on the journey of maybe trying to do what we really want to do. I'm not inviting anybody to leave their career to come a mentor. I'm inviting you, if you can sacrifice a couple of hours out of your life for some young men in your community, maybe you already have a connection with them. Ideally, you already have a connection with them. I'm inviting you to do that. Maybe you're part of a church group. Maybe you're part of a local service club, Kiwanis, Rotary. Like maybe you're a part of a organization who have men who are already have sons, and y'all can bring your sons together and do something really meaningful with them. Don't make it too big so that you can't do it again, that you can't replicate it, and find out what way you can get involved. So for the men out there, if you have made it through your teenage years, I am saying that I believe you have something to offer. I hold the context that what we need, what more young men need to see is real adults who are in all phases of life. Every adult is not a 6-figure earner with a fancy multiple car garage. There are people who have made it to adulthood, who are taking care of their responsibilities in their family, and they're getting up every day and going to work and becoming better and trying to make their world better around them. You see, that's the messaging that we're trying to help our young men see. What are all the ways that I can grow up to be a really good man in the world? So that's the invitation. The invitation is that you take this audio, that you take this podcast, that you share it with somebody. And maybe this is not the right year. Maybe in the next 3 weeks that you don't have the capacity to pull anything together. Please just share it with somebody. I hope that over the next month, over the next 2 months, as we move toward the end of this year, as the brotherhood, our online community builds, maybe you just have a young man that you're not able to support, but you can say, hey, I heard about this online community that's doing some really fun stuff, really cool stuff. Can you go check it out? Right now, there's no cost to it, so it's free. It may be free forever. I don't know. As we're kind of always kind of self-evaluating, like what things we offer to the community, to the world that have no cost, and what things that we have to be able to um, sustain ourselves. I mean, it has to be a sustainable thing. And definitely as we have moderators in there that keeps the place safe, and we have mentors in there that are keeping young men held accountable to certain behaviors in that space, because it's not like another social media platform. It's our own community that we're building. And so we tell young men, hey, what are you interested in? Put the content you're interested in there. There's not going to be a whole lot of shenanigans happening. There's not going to be no fights and drama and violence, like, because our goal is like, those are not the things that we're trying to aspire to. And so we're inviting you, take a part of this movement with you. The Million Mask movement, if nothing else, you could invite some young people in your community, even some other men in your community, to make a mask. You know, today I wanted to just have a few words with you about not only the Young Men's Conference, but about what we're going to do next and what we can do as a community to come together and say, we're going to make a difference. We know that there are people who are out here doing this work, who've been doing it for years, and they're getting tired. They're getting worn out, because the messaging that we have to keep trying to replant is a message that you are enough. You have talent and skills that you may have not even developed yet or haven't come aware of, but we got to help young men know that. And if we can do that together, if we're not doing it by ourselves, if we're not like isolated on an island all by ourselves, if the package may come look different than we expected, whatever your belief is, whatever your big overarching view of the world and who is in charge and all of these things, we can't wait around for all the systems and all the pieces to fit. But we get to take a chance every day and say, we're going to make a difference. That's what Ever4 has been doing for the last 21 years. How can we make a difference? Just recently, I was sharing some story about the things we've done in Ever Forward, and the team was trying to put a clip together, and it was just like a highlight reel of stuff. And I was like, well, that doesn't feel comfortable for me. It doesn't feel comfortable for me to share all the highlights of things that happened over these last 21 years because guess what? I am living the day to day more than often. I'm living the day to day more often than not. I'm living the things that are not going well. I'm living the flyers that didn't get printed with the right margins on the paper. I'm navigating the copy machine that ran out of color toner. I'm navigating the stuff in the weeds on a regular basis. And sometimes when these winds come, I give it 30 seconds and let it wash over me, and I'm back to the grind again. And what I'm learning to do not only is to be able to share with you that any highlights you've seen are me trying to do my best to let you know that it's possible for you too. To let you know that you can do something amazing too. And that what we have to do is those of us who care about this world, those of us who care about young people and definitely our young men in our community, that we have to fight for them. We have to fight for their attention. We have to fight for their presence. We incentivize young men to come to this conference this year. We may call it, we bribe them. Now, we know that people, when they register for something, they don't always show up to stuff. So we said, look, here's how you're going to qualify. If you want to qualify for these bonuses, the early bird bonus ended last week, and we're currently in the last chance bonuses. We incentivize them to show up to this conference. They have to register by a certain date. They have to show up on time, and they have to stay to the end. If we could instill those qualities in young people to say, give your best, get there on time, complete the mission, we could do amazing things. And along the lines of just doing those three things, they're going to have some amazing food and hopefully some fun and opportunities to connect with other young men around the area and hopefully build a long-lasting community of brothers that they can work through life with. They don't have to feel ever isolated and alone. They have to do it by myself. That when they get up into a barrier, when life hits them in the nose or in their gut or in their emotional solar plexus, when they've lost all the air in their lungs and they're saying, I don't know what to do here, they can pick up a phone, they can send a message to a brother and say, hey, can I talk to you? And they don't have to do it alone. I invite you, if you're adult and male in this room and you are not also have a person you can call, please begin opening the mind and opening the channels for it to come to you. Whether that means you're going to go do a men's retreat by one of the organizations doing men's retreat, whether you're going to join a men's team or you're going to create your own men's team, whatever it's going to look like for you, I want you to trust that if it's calling your heart to be in a new season of your life, go forward now. I wish you all the best, folks. Thank you for being a part of the Taking Off the Mask podcast, the Unmasking with Male Educators. Thank you for being a part of this movement with us. We hope that you will get involved in some way, even if that means you're sharing this with somebody, even if it means you're going to one of our social media channels, you're grabbing the flyer, you're sharing it out in the world and saying, hey, check this out. Maybe you're talking to some men in your community to say, hey, we don't have the capacity to do it this year, but we'll do it next year. But at least to put it on the books that we're going to be a part of helping young men in our community. We're not going to let them be left to their own devices. We're not going to let them learn about life through these devices. We're going to say, we got you. We've survived it, and we believe that we could also help you navigate this next chapter of your life. Folks, thank you so much. We'll see you soon. Thank you for being a part of this journey with us. If you haven't made a mask, we invite you to go make a mask, millionmask.org. More to come on that. Probably in the next week or so, I'm going to tell you some of the things we're going to be trying. Halloween is coming. If you celebrate Halloween, but we're going to be hopefully doing some content out in the world to invite people to go make a mask on the 31st of October. I think it's a Friday this year, so even better. And teachers are so happy that Halloween is on a Friday this year because now parents get to deal with those sugar highs and that weekend sugar overload. So enjoy all the ways that it shows up in your community. Enjoy what we're doing here. Tell someone about it. Thank you for being a part. We'll see you soon. Bye now, everybody.